Welcome to my Watercolour channel. Thank you for stopping by. Tally ho there.
Hello there and welcome to another tutorial. This time it is of a busy Central Railway station in Sydney. Now, rough and ready, I'm trying to really paint with almost no attention to detail and all attention on light and mood and atmosphere, essentially, I suppose. Now, I've just sort of thrown in some sort of warm washes, obviously. I think there was just some cadmium orange, a little bit of burnt sienna, and just some greens. I think I ended up mixing like a little transparent turquoise and something here just to get this little green. This is all just some base colours to sit underneath and form the base colours and the base coat of what's to come afterwards when we put our darks and stronger tones in. Now, always good to put a couple of directional lines in when you got these sort of platformy type things, you know, street scenes and things like that. I like them. They're just sort of good to have in there, and if you lose them, you just put them in again with actual paint. Now this one here, we're just sort of throwing in as much dark as we can in this ceiling. Now, the ceiling's like a lot of old railway stations. It's got that sort of, you know, arched and lots of beams and things like that. It's all really cool, really detailed and everything, but I just want to achieve a really loose feel here. I don't really speak of any particular colours here. It's all just tones. This is, you know, obviously this is sort of a dark, you know, burned umbery sort of ultramarine type colour here. A lot of brown sort of tones and tinges, and you know, but we just layer it up as we go. There's throwing in some more warmth with some reds. Now with these sort of brush strokes here, they're just really sort of fly by the seat of your pants type thing, and I think it really makes the spontaneity of the picture sort of come out when you see the finished result. Like, I do like it. It's definitely rough and ready. It's got a lot of things in there that some people would think of as just rough and no good. But in my view, and the way I paint, and the way I like to paint the art that I like and enjoy myself, I just like that atmosphere and the mood more than any of it. More than anything that you sit there and you're just virtually colouring in with a paintbrush. It's boring rubbish. I hate that crap. So just sort of throwing in some sort of, you know, drips and drops and things here and there, because we just want that maximum atmosphere and that maximum sort of mood, and, you know, having fun with watercolours. Let them sort of do what they're supposed to be doing. This is just obviously creating the foreground section there. Now, I sort of want to make it fairly dark around that sort of entrance to the building at the far end. Now, I just have noticed that my drawing was quite off, so I just sort of fixed up that little sort of archway and made it a bit smaller, so it sort of sat more in the middle of the roof light there. Just throwing things around, some spray bottle action, a couple of drops, let it do its thing, let it run and do all sorts of stuff. And all this is the basis for kind of, we're painting nothing in preparation for everything coming soon, which is just want to darken up these little, you know, the corners of the roof line and things like that. But more, you know, the action in the piece is the people and the crowd and the busy train station vibe that we're going for. And believe it or not, it does get there. Now, a lot of this sort of stuff we're looking at scraping out with your fingernails, scraping out with a palette knife, whatever. Just more of those beams and things in the ceiling. Now with these people, so obviously we're doing eyeline sort of stuff here, so everyone's head's on the same line approximately. Obviously the further back they are, the smaller they are. So really nondescript in the background. They're almost just like little, vertical dashes, really. Not much to them. Obviously, the closer they get, a bit more detail comes into it, and a bit darker, a bit stronger in tonal value. Try not to paint your figures as little individual cutout stickers. Like we're creating art here. We're not colouring in. We're not cutting out and cutting and pasting and all that kind of stuff. And we don't want outlines and little stick-on things that just look really amateurish. You end up just with a really boring-looking painting. But if you do certain things here, like just bang, straight down, there's a figure, it's walking towards us, it's on a lean, so it gives the impression of we're moving. Now that one's back a little bit further, and the two in the middle were just painted in, one little bump straight up. So it's keeping them really, really loose and fun. Now, we don't want to stack them all the same, like as far as, symmetrically across the plane of the picture. So, vary them, some walking toward the left, some walking toward the right, all that kind of stuff. But a lot of these people, it's just creating the illusion of a massive amount of people rushing about the place, getting to or from work and trying to go home or, get somewhere to be. Now, this figure on the left, I think, is vital in like this sort of stuff. When you're doing these sort of scenes, just grab something and bring it right to the front so it just pushes everything back. See how instantly that pushes everything back? We've got a feeling of distance now with that tunnel at the back as well. And I think we're just going to start putting some little, I guess they're kind of like reflections, but they're sort of shadowies. They're more just little connective sort of lines down the page, and they just seem to work to bring it all together. Once again, just try not to lose those directional sort of lines there. And all these pigments here will fade off quite a lot because these warmer colours, they do tend to fade quite a bit. But that's okay. That's cool. We'll use that. It's just starting to put some detail in. Detail is probably a loose definition of the word. We're talking lines and dots and things, and to give the illusion of signs and doorways and, once again, activity, things going on in the background. Colour-wise, just sort of keep it pretty sort of minimal. I mean, this thing here, you can see that I'm just pulling out some, lifting out some pigment to allow for the circular lighting that goes all the way down the hallway. There's hundreds of them, but we just want to bring that out, and I'll put some paint on them a bit later on, a bit of gouache, just to bring them out a little bit. But I like the way that ends up looking like this when it's when you take it out and you lift it out instead of, you get that bit of that glow then. So I like that. I'll put a little bit of a red stop sign type thing in there, like the no entry sign. It's not even there. It's just more of an homage to Alvaro Castanet with his red signs everywhere. Now, just to finish off, this is where we're going to start doing the little lights and things. And once again, it's all just perspective tools. It gets us down to, takes us into the picture, and don't be too, don't get the compass out and draw some circles. Just go for it. So highlights, be careful with the gouache again, like I always say. But if you're going to do it for things like highlights and stuff, it's great. Just be careful with it and use it sensibly, because it really does make a difference, and a great difference. I'm feeling at the moment that when I'm painting there and on the opposite side, it's all a bit, it's a bit nothing. Like I don't want to paint things, but I want it to look a little busier. So I just start mucking around with some lines and shapes, which just suggests you know, bits of, you know, benches and, like I say, little signs and doorways and all that kind of stuff. But yeah, so we're kind of getting there toward the business end. I end up pretty soon, I believe I sort of go into that right to the center of the painting, right in the guts, to create the sort of darkness around that, you know, entryway into the building. And there's a clock in the middle right at the end that I end up putting into. You know, we put in a couple of shadows, and you know, the figures are looking a bit better. But they're ghostly because they're moving, so you don't want that crisp and concise and just perfectly cut out people, the figures, because they're moving, they're on the go. It's kind of like, you know, that stereotypical giving it a whoosh next to it to indicate movement, like in cartoons and things. But you can do that with watercolor really easy with your soft edges and things not being perfect and people being off balance and all that sort of stuff, and that makes it with a really good movement. Yeah, I've just sort of darkened that area up there, right in the middle, and I'm just sort of going through and lifting a little bit of paint out as well. Yeah, I'm basically going to end up putting a picture of a little clock here right at the very end, or the indication of a clock. Wouldn't call it a picture of a clock. And we're getting there. Hair dryers are your best friend. They really are, like, especially when you're impatient and waiting like I am most of the time. You just get going, and you know, you want it to keep going, but you've got to be patient in as far as, you know, knowing when to dry off, when to get the hair dryer out, because otherwise you'll end up with rubbish paintings. If you just keep painting wet on wet on wet on wet on wet on wet, it's not going to work. Now, just sort of putting a couple of hands on the clock, so I think they end up being just nothing really. That's all we really need, because you don't want the clock to be as bright as the lights, obviously, so you've got to be careful with that. Now, just wetting down with some clean water and some pigment on the front, right at the very foreground, just to take your eye into the painting a bit more, into the scene. Put in some magenta, burnt sienna, some ultra, and that just sort of fades off a bit as well. But just scraping out some little directional lines again, and I think we're just about there. It's been a really fun picture, this, because it's rough and ready, and it's full of atmosphere and mood. And here's the finished product coming up now. Really hope you like it. Please like and share and subscribe to my channel. Also, tell your friends. Thank you very much. Thanks for your support. See you guys.